as a general rule, I'm not talking about the Syrian issue per se, but I am very pro-immigration for a couple of reasons. One is because I come from immigrants. My wife's family comes from immigrants. At some point, unless we're Native American, we all do. Land of the free, home of the brave, et cetera, et cetera. But also is that economically, we need immigration. We need people to come to this country to work. You say, well, but they're taking other people's jobs. Well, go pretty much anywhere. I mean, if you get outside of a lot of places in West Virginia, not even that necessarily, who's doing the job? Who's doing a lot of the manual labor entry-level jobs? It's immigrants. It's people who've come here, and it's their first job or second job. And why? Because guess what? Folks who've been here won't do it. So, and I'm not trying to be pejorative about this, but who's driving the cabs? Who is picking the vegetables and the fruit? Who is cooking in the kitchen? Who is opening the family-owned restaurant? Who is working on the construction crews? So those jobs are being filled by people who've come here specifically for the desire to work. And I just looked in the paper because somebody said, well, they're taking our jobs here. One, is not true in most cases. And two, look in the paper. Why then, if we got people looking for work, if we have all these people who are looking for work, why are there ads for cooks or kitchen helpers or truck drivers or janitors or any number of things, construction crews? Why? Because they are looking for people who show up for work, who work hard, who will pass the drug test and won't steal from them. And it's harder than you think to find those people. And if somebody comes from halfway across the world and they want to work, then God bless them, and let's put them to work. Because they'll work, they'll pay taxes, they'll build a family. That's how it works, folks. That's how it works. John Deskins is an economist, professor, head of the WVU Bureau of Business and Economic Research. And that's not why I'm having you on today, John, but I'm going to I wouldn't say you agree with me because you're the economist, but am I right or am I right?
It's interesting that you say that because I was actually just going to throw in there edgewise that, hey, Hoppy, I really agree with you on the immigration issue. Immigration has always been an important driver of economic growth, and it's always been an important driver of American growth, especially. And I'm generally pro-immigrant, not to speak to Syria specifically, but you can put me down as being pro-immigrant.
I mean, we need, and you've talked about this a lot, and I'm just not talking about immigrants, but we said we need people in West Virginia. You say, well, we're taking West Virginia jobs. No, we need people to come here and be a part of the workforce and put down roots, and that's essential to growth. That's essential to growth.
Very good point. I mean, I say I'm pro-immigrant from a national perspective, but we need it doubly as bad here in West Virginia. We need immigration. We need people to want to come here. So however much it's important to the national economy, at least double that, and that's how important it is to the West Virginia economy.
Okay, John Deskins is with us, head of WVU's Bureau of Business and Economic Research. Now, John, let me talk about the study that you guys released on earlier this week to lawmakers, which has gotten a lot of buzz, and I want to go over some of the points because it was a thorough review of right-to-work states in this country, states that do have right-to-work states and states that do have right-to-work laws and states that don't have right-to-work laws. Let's talk about some of your findings. What did you find concerning union membership in those states?
Sure, we find that union membership does fall, in a significant way when you have a right to work policy in place. Just in general, overall union membership in the country right now is about 10%. Private sector union membership is about 10%. That's over the last couple decades, and we think that right to work policy leads to a reduction of about 2 percentage points off of that baseline. So that's a reduction in union membership of about 1/5. So it's a pretty substantial reduction.
So it is your conclusion based on your study that if West Virginia passed a right-to-work law, that union membership would decline?
Yes, that's what we believe. If right-to-work enables workers to choose, if you work in a unionized workplace, if you're able to choose whether you're going to pay those union dues or not, we believe union membership will fall by a noticeable noticeable margin.
And of course, and I'm not going to ask you to comment on this because you're doing the research, but of course, the pushback by unions on that is that, well, if you're at a place and it's strictly an open shop and you don't have to join the union, or you don't join the union, but you still get the benefits that the union provides through negotiations, then you're getting something for free. But that's sort of a secondary issue that I'm not going to ask you to address because that's a public policy issue. That's not a research issue. Yeah.
But sure, but no, I didn't get
go
into
ahead.
the arguments on one side or the other. But I mean, if they're worried about union membership declining, then the numbers indicate that's a legitimate concern because we do expect union numbers to decline. So.
Okay. John Deskins is with us, head of the WVU Bureau of Business Economic Research, a study that a lot of people are talking about concerning right-to-work versus non-right-to-work states. What did your study find concerning employment growth, overall growth in employment, people working?
Well, I'll just get right to the point if you want. We do believe that right to work leads to faster employment growth rates in the long run. Overall, the number that we estimate based on a really careful, thorough analysis says that we believe that across all 50 states, what we've seen over the last couple of decades is that right to work has led to a growth rate, to an increase in the long-term employment growth rate of about 0.4 percentage points per year.
Okay. Do you know? Go ahead.
And that's a sustained increase. We didn't look at short-run numbers. We didn't look at transitional effects. Just over the long run, on a sustained basis, right-to-work states are estimated to grow 0.4 percentage points annually more quickly as a result of that policy.
Now, John, not to get too far out down in the weeds, but so you say as a result of the policy, so you believe, or your research shows, that the increase in employment is caused by right-to-work, or there's simply a correlation?
No, absolutely. I mean, that's why we did the study. If you just look at raw numbers, this is what you find. If you just look at what is, employment growth for right-to-work states versus what is employment growth for non-right-to-work states, you see much faster employment growth in right-to-work states. The same thing is true for output or GDP growth. On the other hand, if you just look at wage and salary rates, you see significantly lower wage and salary rates in right-to-work states. But those basic raw comparisons aren't very legitimate because there's a whole host of factors that could influence these broad macroeconomic outcomes. And you can't just compare the two groups of states and just assume that the outcome differences are attributable to right to work. So the reason we were called on to do this study, the whole point of the study was to do a much more careful analysis to look at a whole host of factors that can influence employment growth, output growth, wage and salary growth, to isolate the specific effect of right to work out from a myriad of other factors that could be contributing.
So it is causation.
That's what we estimate, of course. Okay. Absolutely. I mean, again, no statistical study is perfect,
right.
But based upon careful analysis of data, objective analysis, I had no idea what this was going to say, by the way, when I took up this project. We show that right to work causes faster employment and output growth.
Right to work causes fast employment growth and also faster economic growth. Elaborate on that point, please.
Well, it's just out. I mean, your two basic measures of an economy are how fast is the economy adding jobs and how fast is the economy growing in terms of economic output, GDP. And, the same basic conclusion holds for both of those basic measures. Employment and output are both growing as a result of right to work.
Okay, John Deskins is with us. He's the director of WVU's Bureau of Business Economic Research, a comprehensive study about the impact of right to work. And they went out. There's a lot of data to compare because a lot of states have right to work. I don't, so you can compare it. Now, let me go to another more controversial part, is that you also found that annual wage and salary rates were significantly lower in right-to-work states compared to non-right-to-work states between 1969 and 2013. So specifically, what did you find there?
Exactly. That's the point that the opponents of right to work always point to. We do see significantly lower wage and salary rates in right to work states. But again, a whole host of factors can be contributing to that. For example, southern states tend to be right to work, and going back decades ago, southern states had dramatically lower wage and salary rates. So how much of that differential is because of right to work versus how much of it is due to a whole host of other factors? What we did is we looked at the growth rate in wages and salaries, and we found that you can't actually statistically relate right to work to growth in wage and salary rates. That's different compared to a result with employment and output. But we can't find any statistical relationship between right to work and how fast wages and salaries are growing in the aggregate.
So help me with that, though. I might have lost you there a little bit, or you might have lost me there a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. So tell me again what you just said, but put that down more in lay terms, because I think I lost you there.
Bottom line is this.
You lost me. You lost me. I'm sorry.
You can blame it on me. I'll totally accept that.
No, it's me.
There's no evidence that right to work leads to faster or slower growth in wage and salary rates.
So there's
Does that make sense?
Yes. So there's no evidence that right to work impacts the rate of increase or decrease in wages.
That's right.
Okay.
I do not believe, based on an analysis of all 50 states, or actually 48 states, we don't look at Alaska and Hawaii for whatever reason, but based on an analysis of 48 contiguous states over the last couple decades, we find no evidence that wage and salary rates statewide rise or fall more quickly as a result of right to work. So I don't believe that we're going to see a widespread pickup or drop in wage growth in the state if we were to adopt right to work.
But you did find that in right to work states, salaries and wages and benefits tend to be lower, right? But you could not make that. You could not make a causational connection with right to work. Is that correct?
No, that's absolutely 100% correct. Just the raw data show a difference in the average salary and wage rates, but you can't statistically tie it to right to work.
Got it. Okay. You also found employment growth in the manufacturing, construction, mining sectors specifically has been stronger in right-to-work states compared to non-right-to-work states.
No, absolutely. Those basic numbers that I said before that we see just from a raw comparison, that you see faster employment growth overall, that basic fact also holds for construction, manufacturing, and mining specifically as well.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Okay. John Deskins, head of WVU's Bureau of Business and Economic Research in the College of Business and Economics, the economic impact of right-to-work policy in West Virginia, presented to the legislature. And no doubt, when the legislature convenes in January, I feel certain that Republican leaders will bring up legislation to bring about right-to-work in West Virginia. John, thank you for coming on. It's always good to talk to you, and I appreciate your time, sir.
Thank you so much for having me. Always good to talk to you. Look forward to next time.
Thank you, John Deskins.